Brendan Rodgers watched his new Leicester team return to winning ways on Tuesday night after being appointed by the club on a £5.50m-a-year deal until 2022 earlier in the day. The move brings an abrupt end to a trophy-laden 2.5 years at Celtic for the Northern Irishman, who is returning for a third stint in the Premier League. The former Liverpool manager waved for the crowd and shook hands with those around him as he watched his new side beat Brighton 2-1 at the King Power Stadium. Rodgers, who was greeted with applause at the King Power Stadium on Tuesday night, said, "I'm very privileged and honoured to be here as Leicester City manager, and I'll give my life to make the supporters proud of their club. Together, we'll be stronger, and I'm looking forward to working with the players, staff and supporters to make the right steps forward." Demarai Gray put Leicester ahead early on and Jamie Vardy added a second, meaning Davy Proper's strike was only a consolation for the visitors. After the match, England defender Harry Maguire said Leicester's players are excited to get started with Rodgers and believe his appointment is a statement of intent by the club. "It's an exciting time for the club, I'm excited to get started," said Maguire. "We all know his profile and what he's done. We're all looking forward to working with him." Celtic are a massive club, so it shows how big Leicester are getting and our ambitions. "We know he's coached a lot of young players and we hope he can bring them on. We're all excited." Meanwhile, Leicester caretaker boss Mike Stowell believes incoming manager Rodgers will bring something special to the club. Stowell said, "He's just come into the dressing room after the game. He was very positive, bouncing. We're all desperate to start working with him." He said before that he was just going to leave it and observe from up there. He said, "Call the subs yourself and just get on with it," but he's going to bring something special to the club. At Celtic, Rodgers won 2 straight Premiership titles and leaves the club 8 points clear of rivals Rangers at the summit this season. Leicester sacked Claude Puel on Sunday, less than 24 hours after a disappointing 4-1 defeat at the hands of Crystal Palace. The Foxes lost 4 home games in a row and were without a win since New Year's Day prior to Tuesday's victory. In the latter stages of Puel's reign at the King Power Stadium, the Foxes were dumped out of the FA Cup at the hands of League Two Newport County, before suffering defeats at the hands of Southampton, Wolves, and Palace. Leicester City Vice-Chairman, Iwat Abrupt, said, "I'm absolutely delighted to bring a manager of Brendan's caliber to Leicester City, and I look forward to seeing what he, our talented, young squad and our dedicated, skilled team of staff can achieve together." As projects, including the development of our new training ground and the proposed expansion of King Power Stadium, continue to take shape, and as a young squad of great potential begins to mature, Brendan and his colleagues arrive at an exciting time for Leicester City. "We are continuing to grow as a club, and I am anticipating that Brendan's coaching methods, knowledge and experience can enhance our journey." Meanwhile, former Celtic manager Neil Lennon, who left Hibs earlier this season, has replaced Rodgers in a sensational return to the East End of Glasgow. Lennon was due to fly to Doha on BeIN Sports Business on Tuesday but has now abandoned that plan to take charge at Celtic until the end of the season. He will be joined by John Kennedy as assistant manager and Damien Duff as first-team coach. Lennon quit the post in May 2014 after winning the first 3 titles of the club's 7-year run of domination. Coincidentally, his first game back in charge of Celtic is likely to come against Hibernian in the quarter-finals of the Scottish Cup on Saturday. Rodgers had planned to see out the campaign with Celtic in the aim of winning a treble of trebles, but there was always a hope at Leicester he could be persuaded to forego those ambitions for another crack at the Premier League. He said his farewells at Celtic's Lennoxtown training ground late on Monday night with a deal agreed at midnight. Celtic then said in an official statement that they had given Rodgers permission to speak to Leicester. Celtic today confirmed that it has been approached by Leicester City to speak to Brendan Rodgers with regards to their current managerial vacancy. Brendan has indicated to the club that this is an opportunity he wishes to investigate further, and therefore, very reluctantly, the club has granted him permission to speak to Leicester City. Chris Davis, Glenn Driscoll, and Kolo Touré will also join Leicester as part of Rodgers' backroom staff. Leicester view Rodgers as a dynamic appointment who can galvanise a talented squad and bring through their exciting young players, including James Maddison, Ben Chilwell, Harvey Barnes, and Demarai Gray. Rodgers arrives at Leicester with 7 trophies in his cabinet from 2.5 years at Celtic, adding 3 League Cups and 2 Scottish Cups to his CV. Before heading north of the border, Rodgers managed Watford and Reading in the Championship, before taking Swansea up to the Premier League via the playoffs. He left the Swans in the summer of 2012, just months after signing a new contract, as Anfield came calling for the Carnlough-born boss. Rodgers took over in June, taking the club to a 7th-placed finish in his first season in charge. The 2013-14 season, though, was far more memorable as Liverpool came close to securing their first league title since 1990. They slipped at the final hurdle, though, despite being 5 points clear with just 3 games to play. A 2-0 defeat by Chelsea was followed by a 3-3 draw at Palace despite being 3-0 up with just 11 minutes to play, letting Manchester City leapfrog them at the top.